Hello, it's Willie from the Ozarks, and we're ready for our March the 22nd lesson in A Course in Miracles workbook for students. We're reading from the original edition, lesson 81, and this is the next 10 lesson will be a review. Be our second review. And let's read about the review prep first. We are now ready for another review. Of course, the two ideas we'll be discussing today is I am the light of the world, and forgiveness is my function as the light of the world. Now, for the review preparation, what we need to do. We are now ready for another review. We will begin where our last review left off and cover two ideas each day. The earlier part of the day will be devoted to one of these ideas, and the latter part of the day to the other. We will have one longer exercise period and frequent shorter ones in which we practice each of them. The longer practice periods will follow this general form. Take about 15 minutes for each of them and begin by thinking about the idea and the comments which are included in the assignments. Devote about 3 or 4 minutes to reading them over slowly, several times if you wish, and then close your eyes and listen. Repeat the first phase if you find your mind wandering, but try to spend the major part of the practice period listening quietly but attentively. Listening quietly but attentively. You know, sometimes it's easy for our minds just to wander. That's a very difficult thing for us to do, to keep our mind attentive and, staying focused on what we're wanting to study. Well, he gives us a way to do this. He says devote 3 or 4 minutes at the beginning of your longer periods. You know, you're still going to take your 2 periods. He wants them to be 15 minutes twice today, and we're going to devote 15 minutes for the morning, for the idea in the morning, and then 15 minutes for the afternoon idea. He hadn't really told us specifically when to take the afternoon, or whether you want to do it in the middle of the day when you change over, or whether you do it in the evening. I think he leaves that up to you to decide. But do take 2 15-minute periods where you think about the morning one, which today will be the I am the light of the world, and then this evening, forgiveness is my function as the light of the world. Take 15 minutes, but then think about the associated ideas throughout the day. In the morning, the first one, I am the light of the world, and in the afternoon, forgiveness is my function as the light of the world. There is a message waiting for you. Be confident that you will receive it. Remember that it belongs to you and that you want it. Do not allow your intent to waver in the face of distracting thoughts. Realize that whatever form such thoughts may take, they have no meaning and no power. Replace them with your determination to succeed. Okay, what's he saying? Realize that whatever form such distracting thoughts may take, they have no meaning and no power. Replace these thoughts with your determination to succeed. Determination to succeed. Do not forget that you will do not forget that your will has power over all fantasies and dreams. Your will has power over all fantasies and dreams. Trust it to see you through and carry you beyond them all. He has a lot of confidence in us, doesn't he? Regard these practice periods as dedications to the way, the truth, and the life. There he's making reference to John 14:6, isn't he? So regard these practice periods as dedications to the way, the truth, and the life. Refuse to be sidetracked into detours, illusions, and thoughts of death. You are dedicated to salvation. Be determined each day not to leave your function unfulfilled. Reaffirm your determination in the shorter practice periods as well, using the original form of the idea for general application and a more specific form when needed. Some specific forms will be included in the comments. These, however, are merely suggestions. It is not the particular words you use that matter. So when we're applying these, we don't want to get too caught up in the words, even though we do spend a lot of time talking about the words. And I even encourage you to memorize a great many of them. The ones that are in italics, generally, not always. Like the ones today, I wouldn't recommend you to necessarily memorize the specifics that he says don't have to be in these particular words. Where on the other hand, I am the light of the world and forgiveness is my function as the light of the world, would be quite valuable to have at least those clear in your mind. And I sometimes can't remember during the day. I get my mind wrapped up on a lot of things and forget my lesson, exactly the words. So I just like to write them down and have it in my pocket so I can pull it out and remind myself. And as the day goes along, oftentimes I get to where I don't need I keep it in my memory, and that's the goal. But when we're applying it to a specific temptation, to where we need to practice forgiveness, reshaping the words in your mind to where they're specifically useful in that regard is totally valuable, and he encourages it. Okay, we don't want to just be robotic, huh? I am the light of the world. Our ideas for review today in Lesson 81, our first one, which is review of Lesson 61. I am the light of the world. How holy am I, who have been given the function of lighting up the world. How holy am I, who have been given the function of lighting up the world. Let me be still before my holiness. Let me be still before my holiness. In its calm light, let all my conflicts disappear. In its peace, let me remember who I am. Be that person when you walk into the presence of another person. You bring a light with you. Lighten them up, even if it's just a smile, a kind word, an understanding demeanor and word toward them. Be the light of the world. I am the light of the world. How holy am I, who have been given the function of lighting up the world. Let me be still before my holiness. In its calm light, let all my conflicts disappear. In its peace, let me remember who I am. Some specific forms for applying today's idea when specific difficulties seem to arise might be, and here's some considerations. Let me not obscure the light of the world in me. Let the light of the world shine through this appearance. This shadow will vanish before the light. And, even though I'm not necessarily encouraging you to set those to memory, you might want to write one of them or even all of them on a card if you thought if they seem to be useful or helpful in those words, or write your own words. But have something ready, even if it's just I am the light of the world. But see how he's kind of taken that idea and reworded it to be useful in temptation. Let's read it again with that in mind. I am the light of the world. Let me not obscure the light of the world in me. You can see how that'd be helpful if you were experiencing temptation to hold a grievance. Let me not obscure the light of the world in me, or let the light of the world shine through this appearance. Remember, it's just an appearance of threat. It's not real. This shadow will vanish before the light. This shadow will vanish before the light. So there's 3 good examples of what you can use. I am the light of the world to dispel a grievance. And you'll do that in the morning, and then in the afternoon today we're going to use forgiveness as my function as the light of the world. Forgiveness is my function as the light of the world. It is through accepting my function that I will see the light in me. And in this light will my function stand clear and perfectly unambiguous before my sight. My acceptance does not depend on my recognizing what my function is, for I do not yet understand forgiveness. Yet I will trust that in the light I will see it as it is. Wow. Let's read that once again. Forgiveness is my function as the light of the world. It is through accepting my function that I will see the light in me. It is through accepting my function that I will see the light of the world in me. And what's our function? Forgiveness is my function as the light of the world, and it is through accepting my function that I will see the light of the world in me. And in this light will my function stand clear and perfectly unambiguous before my sight. My acceptance does not depend on my recognizing what my function is, for I do not yet understand forgiveness. Yet I will trust that in the light I will see it as it is. Specific forms for using the idea might include, and this will be again when you're feeling the temptation to hold a grievance or to be bitter towards someone, to be upset, to be angry, whatever form that grievance may take. Use these ideas. Let this help me learn what forgiveness means. Let me not separate my function from my will. I would not use this for an alien purpose. And what I usually do is I usually read through the whole lesson in the morning, and then I read the first part again specifically, leave my book open, and as he said, take the first 3 or 4 minutes of your 15 minutes, and you can read through the lesson a time or two, as many times as need be. Then close your eyes, and he says, how does he say it? To sit quietly and attentively with your eyes closed. So do just that, and you're going to listen quietly and attentively. That there's a message there for us. So I usually, like I said, then you'll do just the morning when I am the light of the world today, and listen quietly and attentively, and then throughout the morning and up until the afternoon, use that idea throughout the day. Think of it often throughout the day, and then in the afternoon, switch over to forgiveness as my function as the light of the world, and I'd at least read the first paragraph and sometime early in the afternoon, and read the associated specific forms for using the idea, that you read through those, and then think about them throughout the day. But in the evening, think about the idea of forgiveness as my function as the light of the world in an extended period for 15 minutes. And remember, you can have your book open, and if your mind wanders, open your eyes and read your lesson again, whether it's morning or the afternoon lesson, and do that review throughout the day. Be sure to do your 2 15-minute periods. Okay? So I am the light of the world. Forgiveness is my function as the light of the world. All right, let's go take a look in our text, and we are ready for Section 6 in Chapter 15, The Purpose of Time. Section 6 is the holy instant and special relationships. We're going to start talking a lot about the holy instant and special relationships throughout the rest of the book. So we're ready for a whole new idea, maybe, concepts that we're learning that are important. Okay, while you're turning there, let me tell you about a Walla Walla onion. I'm reading this to you out of the Seed Savers Exchange, and yesterday I read to you out of the Baker Creek catalog, and I don't think I even told you that, and I'm sorry about that. I like to give credit where credit's due. Walla Walla onions. Large round bulbs boast sweet, mild, juicy flesh, famous for its mild flavor. This long day sweet onion is the only northern onion ever to match the quality of the popular Vidalia types. Well-grown bulbs can reach 2 pounds apiece and will store for 2 to 3 months. And they're a 90-day onion. Okay, so it says they're a long day onion. So the Walla Walla would be good for Washington, which is where Walla Walla County is, where they grow a lot of these onions. Walla Walla County, Washington. The Vidalia type is a short day onion, and it grows in Vidalia, Georgia, and it's a short day onion. So evidently the Vidalia was more common, and then someone, I think I heard that a fella started the Walla Walla onion from seeds he brought from Croatia, and that was in the early 1900s. So it's fairly recent to American soil, evidently. Okay, the Holy Instant and special relationships. The Holy Instant is the Holy Spirit's most useful learning device for teaching you love's meaning. For its purpose is to suspend judgment entirely. Judgment always rests on the past. Judgment always rests on the past, for past experience is the basis on which you judge. Judgment becomes impossible without the past, for without it you do not understand anything. You would make no attempt to judge because it would be quite apparent to you that you do not know what anything means. You are afraid of this because you believe that without the ego all would be chaos. Yet I assure you that without the ego all would be love. Nice assurance from Jesus. The past is the ego's chief learning device. For it is in the past that you learned to define your own needs and acquired methods for meeting them on your own terms. We said before that to limit love to part of the sonship is to bring guilt into your relationships and thus make them unreal. Let's read that again. We said before that to limit love to part of the sonship, in other words, just love some people and don't love others, is what he's referring there to. We said before that to limit love to part of the sonship is to bring guilt into your relationships and thus make them unreal. Remember, the kingdom of heaven, which is the only reality, sees no guilt anywhere, because there is no guilt. There's only godness, only love. If you seek to separate out certain aspects of the totality and look to them to meet your imagined needs, you are attempting to use separation to save you. How then could guilt not enter? For separation is the source of guilt, and to appeal to it for salvation is to believe you are alone. To be alone is to be guilty, for to experience yourself as alone is to deny the oneness of the Father and His Son, and thus attack reality. You can't even be alone. But you can certainly believe you're alone and attack reality in so doing it and reap the effect of pain and sorrow and feelings of aloneness. You cannot love parts of reality and understand what love means. If you would love unlike to God, who knows no special love, how can you understand it? Let's read that again. You cannot love parts of reality and understand what love means. If you would love unlike to God, who knows no special love, how can you understand it? To believe that special relationships with special love can offer you salvation is the belief that separation is salvation. For it is the complete equality of the atonement in which salvation lies. How can you decide that special aspects of the sonship can give you more than others? The past has taught you this, yet the Holy Instant teaches you it is not so. So we're going to learn to not use the past to make decisions, but to use the Holy Instant, where the Holy Spirit guides us, and not our past learning that we then assemble into constellations that point to how we think that our salvation is to be attained. Because of guilt, all special relationships have some elements of fear in them. And this is why they shift and change so frequently. They are not based on changeless love alone. And love where fear has entered cannot be depended on because it is not perfect. In His function as interpreter of what you have made, the Holy Spirit uses special relationships, which you have chosen to support the ego, as a learning experience which points to truth. Under His teaching, under the Holy Spirit's teaching, every relationship becomes a lesson in love. 49. The Holy Spirit knows no one is special, yet He also perceives that you have made special relationships which He would purify and not let you destroy. Well, that's nice to know. However unholy the reason why you made them may be, He can translate them into holiness by removing as much fear as you will let Him. You can place any relationship under His care and be sure that it will not result in pain if you offer Him your willingness to have it serve no need but His. Wow, apply this to all your relationships, this idea. You can place any relationship under the Holy Spirit's care and be sure that it will not result in pain if you offer Him your willingness to have it serve no need but His. Isn't that nice to know that we can escape pain? Even if we've made special relationships, He can make them holy. We just offer the relationship to the Holy Spirit for His understanding, so that we can understand it the way He understands it. And it doesn't matter how we made it in the past. It can be holy and perfect now and not cause us any pain at all now, which is what we want. All the guilt in it arises from your use of it, all the love from His. Do not then be afraid to let go your imagined needs, which would destroy the relationship. Your only need is His. Any relationship which you would substitute for another has not been offered to the Holy Spirit for His use. Any relationship which you would substitute for another has not been offered to the Holy Spirit for His use. There is no substitute for love. If you would attempt to substitute one aspect of love for another, you have placed less value on one and more on the other. You've not only separated them, but you have also judged against both. Yet you had judged against yourself first, or you would never have imagined that you needed them as they were not. Unless you had seen yourself as without love, you could not have judged them so like you in lack. 51. The ego's use of relationships is so fragmented that it frequently goes even further. One part of one aspect suits its purposes, while it prefers different parts of another aspect. Thus does it assemble reality to its own capricious liking, offering for your seeking a picture whose likeness does not exist. For there is nothing in heaven or earth that it resembles, and so however much you seek for its reality, you cannot find it because it is not real. And last paragraph we'll read today, 52. Everyone on earth has formed special relationships. Everyone on earth has formed special relationships. And although this is not so in heaven, the Holy Spirit knows how to bring a touch of heaven to them here. so he can bring a touch of heaven to all of our special relationships that we've made here on the earth. In the holy instant, no one is special, for your personal needs intrude on no one to make them different. Without the values from the past, you would see them all the same and like yourself, nor would you see any separation between yourself and them. In the holy instant, you see in each relationship what it will be when you perceive only the present. Wow. So this connection between the holy instant and the special relationship is what we want to kind of get a sense of understanding and turn our special relationships over to the Holy Spirit in each holy instant, each now, each moment. Don't lose any opportunities to be joyful, to be at peace, to let the Holy Spirit guide your life instead of your own judgments based on the past. All right, and lesson 81 again this morning. Say, I am the light of the world, and think about that throughout the day. This evening or this afternoon, forgiveness is my function as the light of the world. Thank you all so much for joining me. So until tomorrow, remember, I am the light of the world. Say that to yourself often. I am the light of the world. And then also say, forgiveness is my function as the light of the world.